Hey guys, we're live, and I just want to say that I'm stupid because I didn't check this out before, and we have all this blank space here. So I don't know. I wish that I could put something there, but I can't. I don't know how to make this so that we could be seen differently either. I mean, I can't even bring it up. So my apologies. But anyway, you're not here to watch us. You're here more to listen to us, the chat, right? So we've got stories, and I can't even bring it up. So
sorry.
anyway, you're not here. Okay, so what you want to do, whoever has the YouTube open, shut it. Just shut that. Okay, very good. No, we're good. We're good. We have Jacqueline here who is willing to share her story, and I want to open this up to her and say thank you. First of all, thank you very much for coming and finding this a safe space to share your story, number one. And I apologize, guys, for being late. I'll take all the responsibility for that. Sorry. And
Thank
Rebecca,
you for having me.
No, thank you for coming. Rebecca,
Yeah.
how you doing?
I've had a rough weekend, as I think I told you a little bit about it. That was
No, I think you showed it to me. I think you showed me that.
it was
Yeah.
before that. There was a lot more. That was just the ending of my evening. So as you know, I didn't sleep after watching that. It was very disturbing, but it's not about me. We'll talk about me another time. Let's get this started.
Yeah. But Rebecca, we could talk later if you'd like to, because that's disgusting. I'll try to help you get that taken down.
Yeah, I reported it, and a couple of people did, but I don't know. I don't know how that works.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, we'll talk about that, guys. Sorry about me being late, and everybody's saying right here, thank you, Jacqueline, for coming. And Jacqueline, if you want to go ahead and just share your story, we'd love to. And as a matter of fact, I don't know how you feel about this, but I can make you large. I think I can make you large and make us small. I might be able to do that. But in the meantime, just start talking. People, really, they're not here to look at us. They're actually not here to look at us. They're here to hear us. So
bear with me. I haven't shared my story in quite a while, and I get really bad stage fright. I figured this wouldn't be as bad, but I'm actually pretty nervous, and I didn't think I would be. But so I started using really young. I was probably about 13 years old when I first my parents divorced and we moved, and I was very, very sheltered, very naive, had no street smarts, if that's the word, no street sense. I had no idea. I didn't know anything about drugs. I didn't know anything about, like, I had seen my parents drink, probably a lot, but like just thought that was kind of normal. But I had no idea about drugs, and I had been bullied where we lived before. So when we moved up, after my parents' divorce, I was going through it, needless to say, and I got in with the wrong crowd. I mean, just really, really, really bad crowd. In my school, whoever was the most like troublemaker were the most popular, and I just did not want to be picked on so bad. I wanted to be liked by them so much that I was pretty much willing to do whatever. I mean, I remember the first time they came to sneak me out of my house, like I cried the whole time we were in the car because I was so scared. I was like, my mom's gonna catch me and she's gonna be so mad at me. And it really, the first night I went to stay at a friend, one of these new friends' houses, she gave me ecstasy. I mean, right out of the bat, like not a gateway of like, anything small. It was major. And just all kinds of bad things happened that night. And from there on it just kind of spiraled. So I really jumped into the deep end right out of right out of the gate. And it wasn't until recently, I'm now 36 and I've been sober now for a couple of years. I think we talked about, last week I said how over Christmas, this past Christmas, I got off of methadone and everything. So this has been the first time that I've been completely sober, nothing, like no medications of any kind since I was literally a child. And it's been really exciting for me because the places I went, everything I said that I would never do, I did. I mean, there would be I kid you not, like I learned very quickly not to judge people for things they did, because the first time I went to treatment, I was 19 years old, and I listened to these horror stories of things people had done, and I was like, oh my gosh, I will never, like, I know I'm bad, but I'm not that bad. I will never I will never do this, and sure enough, tick that one off, and then tick the next one off and the next one. And I couldn't I would have to sit back and count how many times I went to treatment. I mean, truly, I would have to really sit back and think. It was a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. Treatment just wasn't doing it. It was literally, I mean, meetings, I could recite everything by heart. I tried everything, and it wasn't until a few years ago I actually went into a drug-induced psychosis where I I didn't know who I was. I didn't know where I was. I was seeing things. I mean, it got so bad. Like, there were points where I would just cry to God, and I was like, is this, like, am I never going to have my mind again? Am I never going to be able to, um, just be a person, Like, I would look at people, like, if I was at a grocery store, and I would look at these families walking through the store, and I would be like, wow, I wonder what that's like just to be a person who can go to the grocery store and shop and not be like scheming and scamming, and like,
Mhm.
um I wonder what it's like to just wake up in the morning and exist and not need something to start the day or to keep you from being sick, or you know um even when I wasn't on like illegal substances, I was on, Subutex or Suboxone or methadone. Like, I had never been just me. And I always wondered, what is that like? And I truly believe, like, God bringing me to that was my lowest point. Losing my mind was quite literally the only thing I hadn't lost yet. I had lost family members. I had lost stuff. I had lost cars. I lost my children. I mean, I truly lost everything. The only thing I had left to lose was my mind. And that was the scariest. Like, I couldn't even shower. I was so quite like frightened of water. Like, I was scared of everything. And when he lifted that off of me, I was like, okay. I didn't immediately, I was like, I need something to help me. I didn't immediately just get sober, but I was like, okay, this is definitely not good. Like, this is not a good thing. And I thought I was gonna die. I mean, I really, really, really. I live in Florida, and I was so out of it one night. I jumped into the canal trying to get to the other side, and alligator infested canal. Like, I mean, we have so many alligators, and I just jumped in because to me that was the most logical way to get to the other side of the street. I mean, my mind was so gone. And yeah, if I didn't get, so I knew I wasn't going to make it. I mean, I had overdosed so many times, and I think that's when I heard your story, Rebecca, that really just, it was, things like that we need to hear, unfortunately, because it's the stuff that like motivates me today. Because I imagine, like, my brother passed away when I was little. I'm her only child left, and like, that thought keeps me going, like, I don't want her to be in that type of position, because I can't fathom what that would be like. But yeah, so I eventually got on the methadone, and I was really trying. I still struggled a little bit, but I could not break this. It was almost like a spell that addiction had over me. Like, I was miserable. I hated how I felt. It wasn't fun for many years. I mean, it had not been fun for a very long time,
Right.
but I couldn't stop. And my mom used to always tell me, she's like, if you just ask God to alleviate it from you, and like, if it was that simple, like, don't you think, like, but truly, when I that was might sound trite, that really was when I had that psychotic break. Like, I was like, God, I need help. Like, I can't do this, like, because if I don't have my mind, then what good is my life? If I don't know who I am or what I'm doing, what good is my life? And, I was doing such reckless things, and it was getting quite scary. And I have two daughters. Well, I have a son now too, but at this time I had two daughters that I hadn't been able to see for a very long time. And I still haven't been able to see them, but at least like that could be on the horizon now. But it's like I want to live long to see them, and to be there. Like, I need help, and when I finally got on my knees, and I said, I will do whatever it takes, I will do whatever it takes. And there was a lot of stuff that I had to go through, a lot of legal stuff that I had to get through. And then I found out that I was pregnant with my son. And that really was a turning point. When I had him, I because I didn't know I was pregnant for a while. And so him being born, I would have gotten, had I have intentionally known I was going to get pregnant, I wouldn't have been on the methadone in the first place. Like, that was awful to go through. And seeing him go through that was awful. He was in the hospital for a month, and definitely a very low point in my life. But I didn't use through it. And that was the first thing that I knew something was changing, because that was very unlike me. Because I was ashamed. I mean, the nurses were very judgmental, rightfully so, but I was trying to do the right thing. I obtained the medication legally, but still, it is awful to watch it. There's no justifying it. But, it just was a really hard situation to be in for everyone. And, but I got through it and showed up and was there constantly. And even though I felt embarrassed and ashamed, like, nobody was going to push me out of here. I was like, I got to fight for this, and that's what I did. And I just, sometimes it was minute by minute, hour by hour. Like, I would say, I'm just not going to use for this hour, like, if I could just make it this hour, and then I'll make it another hour, and then another, and then it turned to days. I'll just make it one day. I don't even have a date, because for so long I always held on to these dates, and then when I'd lose them, it made me feel so bad. I was like, I'm not even gonna think about the time. Like, just make it through this day, and I'll make it through the next day. And God quite literally just, when I got through the hospital with my son, and it was like this spell had been broken. I cannot explain it. This spell that I was under for so many years, just, I didn't feel that compulsion where I just had to have this, like, against all sense and reason, because it didn't make sense. Like, I still to this day don't know how to put it into words. Like, it's like something above you that just makes you do, even though, like, overriding the system of logic, and I was on methadone for about a year after I had my son, because I was scared. I thought, if I get off this, then what's my safeguard to keep me, now I have this life that I really want to protect. I'm building this life I really want to protect, and I don't want to do anything that could jeopardize it. And over Christmas, I just had this feeling. God was like, it's time, like, and I was like, oh, I don't know, like, we have holidays. I have to go to my mom's house. I have to go to my partner's house. I don't know, but I did it. And I had I had been lowering myself for a while, but it just was just had this feeling like I just needed to just stop, like, that no matter what, I was going to feel icky at some point. So to just keep going. And I'm not saying that's right for everyone, but, like, for me, that's just how it happened. And yeah, so I've been off of everything since then. I even quit smoking, not right away, but probably around April or so, or May. I even was able to quit smoking cigarettes. Like, once that initial, like, curse or whatever, I don't know what to call it, was broken, like, things just started falling off. Bad habits. I mean, I still obviously have vices where I watch way too much YouTube, and I'm on my phone way too much, and so I'm working on that. But, like, I actually, like, I go out in the sunshine. I have a home. Like, we bought our first home a couple years ago. My son, he just turned 2 in May. My daughters, I still haven't been able to see them yet, but I'm hoping one day, if I just keep doing the next right thing, like, eventually, my oldest, she's 18 and she's just not ready yet. I have tried, but she's just not ready. And that's fair. That's very fair. And I just want to be here and sober and in the right place. So when she is ready, I can be there because, it isn't, of course, by nature, I'm like, here I am, I'm ready. Like, please, like, let's do this. But like, I wasn't there when she needed, so it's kind of selfish for me to try to expect that as soon as I'm ready, like, but that was hard. And that was very hard to accept. But, and my other daughter, she's 13. So, but her father he's kept that door shut, and that's fair too. So, I have to just keep it one day at a time. But those type of things used to set me back when they would tell me no. When I heard no, like, that's it. Well, why am I even bothering? Why am I even trying?
Right.
If I'm not going to be able to be in their lives, if I can't, get them, what is the point? Like, that was kind of the mindset that I had. And but now I see, like, there's a lot of reasons, like, even before my son, I was like, my mom, she had been through so much, like, and she just kept fighting for me, kept fighting for me, kept taking me to rehab, taking me to detox. I would call, she wouldn't hear from me for months, and then I'd call her and say, I need treatment, I need help. And she'd come get me, feed me, and take me, like, went through so much with me. And like, I owe, like, if nothing else, I owe it to her. And in the rooms, they always say, you can't do it for yourself. You can't do it for yourself. You gotta, or you can't do it for others. I'm sorry. You have to do it for yourself.
Right.
And for me personally, I didn't like myself, like, I didn't like me. I quite literally was disgusted by myself for a long time. Like, I couldn't understand why I did the things I did. And so trying to do something for myself, and I know it works for a lot of people, like, and I think everyone has their own, what works for them. But I just did not like myself enough to do it for me. I didn't care what happened to me, quite honestly. There were so many points where I thought everyone would be better off if I wasn't here, and that my mom, it would be better for her because she wouldn't be constantly drugged through all this stuff. And, you know, um, living the way I was, it wasn't helpful by any means. But now being able to be present and be sober and be able to help her when she needs it, she's getting older, and like, it's just so nice to, like, we can't get back the time that we lost, but we can try to make up for some of it when we're still here, and that's when I talk to people, I just tell them, like, don't try not to focus so much on the things that you've lost or the time that you've lost, because you're just going to keep losing more. If you just stay focused in the present we have right now, and you can do so much right now. You can call someone, I am really sorry for the things I said when I was messed up, or I am so sorry that I stole that money out of your purse. Like, for me, that was with my mom, I did that all the time, and horrible. Like, my grandmother passed while I was using, and we were so close. And that's something that's really been hard for me to get over, that I can't call and say I'm sorry that she doesn't get to see me today. But I know she wanted it for me so badly, and that my living amends is to just keep staying sober, because I know that's what she wanted. I can't call her, but I know that she would be very happy to see what I'm doing right now. And yeah, it was, and I don't, I'm trying to see how I could sum it up without, like, because I don't want to drone on all the negative, because they're obviously there's so much negative, everyone knows how that is. But like, the positive, living sober today is so much better than I ever imagined. When I used to watch people and look at them going through the store and imagining what their lives might be like. Like when I tell you I romanticize my life today, I romanticize my life today. Like every day I wake up and I'm like, thank you, God, for waking me up. Thank you, God, for allowing me to be here to share this story. Thank you for allowing me to be present with my son, to see my mom, you know, to not have to go through what I went through with my grandmother, with my mom, you know, because that was the next thing I was scared was going to happen, that she wouldn't get to ever see me sober. And I didn't know if I would survive that because she was my only family left, you know. And like, thank you. Like, I'm so grateful. Like, it's a way, it's so much better of a feeling than I even imagined. Like, and I imagined it to be pretty good to wake up and just like be able, like, wow, I can go do anything I want today. There is nothing that I cannot do today. And it really is. When I'm cooking dinner, I am so excited to cook dinner. I mean, most people may not, you know, I don't know how everyone feels, but like for me, because for so long I just was stuck in that cycle of like insanity and I just wanted a normal life so badly. I get so excited to cook dinner. I get so excited to clean my house. I mean, I'll be vacuuming and I'm like, I gotta pinch myself. Like, is this real? Like, am I really like, this is my life? Like, how did I get so lucky? Like, God, thank you. Like, I did not deserve this whatsoever. I did nothing to deserve this. And I'm just so grateful for all the people that didn't give up on me, that that I did get that chance to do it, because so many don't. I've lost so many friends, and it's scary. And I try to remember those things. So because even though like as happy as I am, probably the thing that sneaks up the most to me is like, man, I miss having a glass of wine when I cook dinner, you know? Like I miss when if I go out to a restaurant and being able to have a glass. Like those are the things that creep up on me the most now, but I just remind myself it's not worth it, because if for me personally, if I got drunk, then that was like my inhibitions are lowered, I'm not making good judgment, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I want something else, you know? Like,
And I
so
think also, I'm sorry,
no,
but
go
I
ahead.
think also, when you do that, it gives you the excuse, well, I already fucked up. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
absolutely.
And it is so much easier, I think, to not even indulge. It's just best to say no from the starting
Yeah.
gate, because once you open that gate, it is so much harder to close. But you got a lot of love here. I keep putting things up. I don't know if you could read them, but
I was so nervous. I'm trying just to like focus on
yeah,
my
no,
thoughts
you're
and what
fine.
I'm saying, but thank you so much. I really appreciate
You got
that.
a lot of love here and a lot of people that relate to what's going on. So I didn't mean to interrupt, but
No,
I also
no,
felt
please
like
do.
after 22 minutes, I needed to say something just so that you didn't feel so alone up here either. You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm amazed that I was able to make it that long without
No, I want you to
hopefully it
continue.
was a cohesive and coherent story.
Yeah, no, you got a lot of people up here that you're motivating. So please continue on. Please continue on.
um yeah,
And
I
then
mean
and then I think we'll ask questions, but I mean, please continue on with your story.
I think that I was pretty much rounding it up. I mean, I'm definitely open for questions. I hopefully the more I do it, the last time I tried to share my story, it was like in front of a group of people, you know, and I got so nervous I like blacked out. Like I don't even remember what I said. I was like, I hope that it even made sense, but like I couldn't remember what it, because I got so nervous. I was like, hopefully this will be not as bad since I'm behind a screen. I don't know. But hopefully it wasn't it made sense.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I have a couple questions, and maybe
Sure.
Rebecca does too. And anybody in the chat that would like to ask a question, please, you don't have to give any money. We answer all questions here. All you have to do is hit just put some asterisks in front of the question so that I see it's a question you want me to ask, Jacqueline, and then
Thank you, Gutter Snipe. I appreciate that.
I
Sorry.
can ask that question. So um so you were never incarcerated? Did you ever get in?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Okay. So can you tell us a little bit about that? And when
Oh
did that
yeah.
happen, if you don't mind?
Sorry, yeah. Definitely skipped over that. Yeah. I got arrested quite a few times throughout my using. Usually over, like, writing bad checks was one. I had a couple possession charges, and then in Florida we have a Marchman Act system where they can, like, if somebody goes to the courthouse, they can say that you are a danger to yourself or someone else, and they will physically, like, take you into
Like a
treatment. And if you
Baker
won't,
Act? Like a Baker Act.
yes, like a Baker Act, but for addiction. Yeah,
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know there was a separate thing. Okay. That's
yeah,
new. That's new. I
yeah,
didn't know about that. Yep.
yeah. So my mom did that quite a few times, and if you flee treatment or you refuse treatment, then you go to jail. So that happened to me a few times, and yeah, so I would drive out there, and then usually I did drug court twice, which actually the first time, like I was 20 years old the first time that I went to, or yeah, about 20, 21 the first time I went to jail.
So you went to
And
proper jail. You didn't get busted as a kid and start with a juvie. You went straight
oh,
to jail.
oh, no, I went to juvie too. I'm thinking of my
Yeah.
Oh, I've had quite a long. I've had quite a long. I actually did 21 days in a juvie, juvenile detention center for, it was armed burglary and theft of a firearm. Being with the wrong, and I can't just blame them because I went. You know what I'm saying? But I was with a bunch of adults. I was hanging out with people much older than me, dating people much older than me. And yeah, so we fled to Chicago, and I ended up getting picked up in Chicago and going to a place there, and then having to be transferred down back to Florida.
So
And
when they
facing charges there.
extradited you back to Florida, was it by plane or was it in a car? Or?
Because I was a juvenile, they allowed my mom to fly up and pick me up and then turn me in back in Florida. So
Okay.
Wow.
yeah, so I don't know. I got lucky on that front, but yeah.
So we got a
One of the
question
people I
here,
was
but
with did not.
Really? Well, they probably deserved it. They were the adults.
Yeah.
Not passing judgment, but you know what I'm saying? Passing judgment. They were the adult. They were the adult. Did they know
Yeah.
did they know that you were not the adult?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Because I was in a situation that I could have been in trouble, but I honestly was told by the people I was with that they were 18. So they lied to me. And had I have been picked up, I mean, I'd have gotten in a lot of trouble. Especially because I had juveniles, but they lied to me. These people knew the truth about you.
I was 14, and initially when
Wow.
I met them, I said I was 16. And but if when I look at 14-year-olds now, and I'm like, oh my God, like I thought I looked so much older. I thought I was so mature, that I knew so, you know what I mean? And I look at people at the age that I was, and I'm like, I cannot imagine them doing the things I was doing, and being involved in the things that I was involved with. Like, I mean, when I tell you, I just
I
jumped
gotta tell
in.
you though, there's a tougher breed. I think there's a tougher breed of 14-year-olds now out there.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do think that, unfortunately. So we have a question. I do
Sure.
want you to stay on that side of it, but I don't want to lose this question and get too far behind
Yeah,
in the comments.
yeah, of course.
So Pink Cloud Now, 9, I'm sorry, said, what do you do now today, every day, all day to stay in recovery? What is your thought and action process daily?
So for me, I mean, I do go to meetings, and I do have a sponsor. But for me primarily, and I'm cautious to say this because it really is different for everyone. But for me, being in a really close relationship with God, my higher power, that has what really brought me through everything. I could not have done it without God. Like, it just, and when, like I said, when my mom used to say that to me, I was like, if don't you think, like, if it was that simple, I would have just, I would have just asked for help. Like, but I truly had not. And maybe it was just my heart wasn't ready. I wasn't truly, like, repentant in my heart to want a different, like, I don't know. I can't explain it, that what happened for the change, but I stay in gratitude every day. Like, my biggest thing, I don't ever let myself forget where I've been because I have to stay focused. Like I have to remember, because in the past enough time would go by that I would be like, well, I could probably just do this once and then, and not, go down like a deep rabbit hole. I could just drink I could, even if I get drunk a couple times, whatever, I could smoke pot, like I thought that I could do just a little, after amount of time. I don't let myself go there anymore. I remember constantly, if I get too squirrely, I'll like really go down like we're doing now and like think back, because even until you asked me that, I forgot, like, so many things have happened that I genuinely will forget sometimes, like how truly insane my life got. But and I just stay really grateful. Like I every day in the morning and at night I write out things that I'm grateful for and things that I have today that I didn't before. And, not just, and I don't mean like the materialistic type of things, because of course that comes back quickly, but it's more that stuff like the things that I used to care about before, I just don't care about anymore. Like the stuff, I just don't care about that anymore. Like it's about the relationships, taking a walk out in the sunshine, feeling the sunshine on my skin, my son and his laughter and being able to snuggle with him. Like these, life is so precious, and I never appreciated the moments as they were. Like I always needed more. I always needed more of something. I was always chasing something, and I was never satisfied. It was never good enough, anything I had. So for me, it's really important to stay grateful for everything that I have. And excuse me. And then I do go to meetings because for me, I like to hear other people's stories. Um I like to share. Like it's just the camaraderie I find very helpful for me personally, but I know it's not for everyone.
No, absolutely. And you're very inspiring. I'm reading the comments and such in the chat, and I think that Pink Cloud said it, absolutely. You've got to
Oh, thank
find what
you.
works for you. You got to find the thing that works for you. And gratitude is high. So where did you get, like, you got a lot of tools now. So,
Thank
I mean,
you.
it seems like you got a toolbox. So
Yeah.
is it a combination of the places that you went to? Is it life's experience? Where did you get this, the toolbox that you have now to,
Well, I mean, I went to treatment a lot. Like I said, I did a lot of inpatient treatments, a lot of detoxes, a lot of meetings. There over time, I mean, the first time I went into the rooms, I was 18 years old. My first treatment, I was 21. I went to detox for the first time at 19, but my first
wow.
inpatient was like 21. And I'm 36 now, so they don't necessarily teach you new things. Every now and then you'll get something new, but pretty much it's just, what do you like it, I don't know if rhetorical is the right word, but it's the same thing. But I mean, just that's just what ended up working for me, because I
Was
started
the
after a
repetition
while
of it,
of being,
the repetition of it,
yeah, exactly. And after being away from it for a little while, I was able to take a look back and say, what what led me, like what kept driving this force in me. I got this book. It was a shadow work book, and it helped, just kind of point out like different things that I hadn't thought about, things that had happened even in my childhood that, kind of impacted the way I thought about things, or the type of people I sought out and why I sought out those type of people. Because I was so afraid of being disliked, quite honestly. So I would look for people that I thought couldn't judge me, or couldn't, that were, I don't want to use the word below, but like doing things that, I would have previously found judgmental, because the bad crowd, they were easier. Like they just wanted you to do what they were doing, so it wasn't like, I don't know, I had been so critically bullied when I was in 6th grade, that when I moved, I was like, this is a fresh start. I am going to do whatever it takes to be popular. Like that was the thing in the forefront of my mind. And so it didn't, at that time, if I set my mind to something, that was it. And I was like, they're going to like me. And it was relatively easy because they just wanted people to they didn't want to be the only ones doing the bad things they were doing. Actually, one of my friends ended up getting pregnant. The one who gave me the drugs the first time, she ended up getting pregnant at 14. I mean, it was like things, it just, I mean, I was so naive when she took me to these places around all these adult men that they knew how young we were. They knew we were still in school, that we were sneaking out, and we're totally okay with it. Like, I think back to those things and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, it's sick. It quite honestly, it's sick because no one, and they would lie. They would lie about their age to us also, like, I mean, we would say we were 16, but like I said, when I look at other people who are 13, 14 years old, like, I mean, even 16, you look so young, and, but they would say they were 10 years younger than they were, and we still knew they were adults, but we were seeking out adults so they could buy us cigarettes and alcohol,
Right, right,
and,
right.
so it was kind of a mutual using, but
So, Cassandra Rose has asked, what do you do with the emotional pain and not numb it? I've been in a lot of pain and I'm struggling not to numb myself.
ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, emotional pain kept me messed up for a really, really long time. For me personally, journaling, writing it out, just I had to learn how to be okay with feeling it, and it didn't feel good for a long time. I'm not gonna lie. Like it was very hard. It's still, I don't think anybody enjoys emotional pain, but I pray. I give everything to God in the morning and at night and throughout the day. I mean, when I start feeling something that makes me uncomfortable, like start feeling really anxious or upset, I just pray and I ask Him, please take this from me. I don't want to act on it. And truly learning to sit with my emotions, writing them out was very cathartic for me. Going to a meeting and sharing and having other people say, hey, I know that's hard, I know how that feels, that was very comforting for me. Just having someone that understood, being able to call a sponsor or a friend in recovery and say, can I just talk this out because I don't want to just sit alone with this, was very, very helpful. But it's really something you just have to get used to, because that's one of the number one reasons I think most of us use, is to cover up that emotional distress, that emotional pain, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Rebecca, what do you have to say? You've been very quiet.
I'm just taking it all in. I had a question. You mentioned drug court, right?
Yeah.
So here, I don't know where you're from, but drug court is like a program you can go into,
Mhm.
and it's very strict. Is that what you're talking about when you say drug court? Or were you
Yes.
oh, okay.
Yes.
So how was that for you? Was it very difficult? Because a lot of people don't graduate drug court. And
Yeah, a lot of people do not, they don't. It is very hard. I was someone who actually used to really thrive well with accountability and having that someone to answer to. So I did very well with that, but it is very hard a lot of times. That was my biggest thing, is I would do well on probation, I would do well in treatment, I would do well on drug court, but then once I'd get off and I didn't have anyone holding me accountable, all of a sudden I would just go right back, like I needed that sort of accountability. But it really helped me, especially this last time around, because I had just had my son, and I needed that accountability. Like I had to call a UA line every morning at 7 a.m. to see if we had a drug test, and you never knew till that morning, an hour beforehand, if you had one or not. So I found that very helpful, and they had lots of classes. You had to get a job, and you had meetings that you had to go. You had to go to so many meetings. Plus, there was a lot of therapy, so that was super helpful. And even now, I still go back as alumni and meet with other participants. That's that was where I was when I said I shared that story, that I got so nervous. Like
Mhm.
whenever they asked me to speak, it's like, oh, I don't know, something about in person sharing. Just I would like to get better at it because it is something I think is so important, and I would like to do. But yeah, I get terrible stage fright. But it was really helpful. But it doesn't, unfortunately. I was in the program with someone who graduated in February and she was sent back to prison in April.
It
So
happens. It happens a lot. I'm familiar with the drug court program. Not, I was never a participant, but
yeah,
the failure rate is very high because I believe it's a strict program, and um,
very.
you know, at least here in where we're from in New Jersey, it is. And they, you know, you could sit in court and so many people would, you know, be sent to jail because they failed a drug test or got new charges or something, you know, while they were
Yeah.
on drug court. So, I mean, I think it's a great program. Um, but like I said, that the failure rate is pretty high here anyway. Um, I don't know if it's
Yeah,
the same everywhere, but
the stats I see online, I'm not so sure how accurate because they show better than what I think that they. But I think that's because I don't think it's so much the program for me. Kind of like why I have an issue with Marchman acting someone. I don't think you can force people to get clean. You know
no,
what I mean?
they
At
have
least
to
not
want
me
it.
personally. You could not force me. And when they would like rip me and like put me in these places, then I would be like, well, I'm going to show you. You think you're going to tell me I have to stop? And then I would go meet people at these facilities and we would leave and go use. And then not only are we using, but we're using hardcore because we're mad and we've been locked into this place. You know what I mean? So for me, I think a lot of it is, you know, if people, they go into the drug court program thinking, I just don't want to get out of jail. I don't want to be in jail anymore. And so they're able to just get out of jail and they accept this program, not realizing exactly how intense it is and how much of a commitment it is, and that you have to get to these UAs every day at 7:30. I mean, I don't know if everybody's is as early as ours was, but you know, you have to call between 4 and 6, and then you have to be there between, they give you 45 minutes, 7 to 7:45. And
Yeah,
I mean, and if you're not there, you go to jail. I mean, literally. And if you miss
yeah,
a class, you go to jail. Um there is no you know, you might get one warning. You might get one warning for missing a class
mhm,
or something, but if you don't pay your like your fees, and or if you miss therapy, or if you don't get a job, like they're very tough, you know. But it, for those that want it, it's really good. You know,
right.
like
I
I can
agree.
say for those of us that once you're ready, like I said, the first time I did it just to get through it because I didn't want to have a felony on my record, you know, and that's the other perk of, you know, completing it is they remove the felony from um your record. But
Right.
I was so young, you know, and I truly wasn't ready, and I knew at that point like that it wasn't, like, because I still had this like it in the back of my mind, like, well, maybe one day, you know what I mean. There was still a little bit of a reservation, as they say, you know. And I don't have that now. Like even with drinking, when I get that like itch or something, I'm like, why? Like how many times do I need to get drunk to realize I hate being hungover? Like it does, I end up saying things that I regret. I wish I didn't say. And like you know, what else am I like? It doesn't change. It's always the same, you know. It's not going to be a different experience. So I mean, yeah, I mean, but it definitely helped me because I needed that accountability at that time, just to like, it comforted me. Knowing I had to call every morning made me feel like, okay, I cannot even entertain the idea of anything else because I don't want to go back to jail. I did not want to be, I had my son at the time, he was very young, and I was like, that I just do not want to take those kinds of risks. And then by the time I graduated, then I really was getting set up in my own and was excited about my life. So it gave me the desire. Like then I wanted to do it for me. You know, by that point, I really was wanting to do it for me. And it gave me that time to do that. But unfortunately, when we're not ready, nothing will work. You know, if we're not truly ready and sick of being
Sick.
yeah.
I used to say it all the time. I could want it so bad for Gino, for my son, but he had to want it. Didn't matter how bad I wanted it. It had to be him. It was, you know, on his terms. And, you know, that's very true.
Yeah.
You have to want it. We can't want it for you. And you have to work the program. You have to work the steps. We can't do it for anyone.
Yeah.
So do you, I think, and this is like really important because I mean, to me it is personally, because I have somebody that I care about, that I love, who's sober right now, but they still have that stupid ass mindset, you know, that dope fiend mindset. And because they have that, I don't have a lot of faith in their sobriety. What do you say about that? Like, it's more than just stop using. You
Yeah.
have
Oh
to
yeah.
really. So can you talk a little about that? Would you talk a little about that?
You know, I'm sure it's different for everyone, but yeah, I mean, until the behavior changes, like it's an internal, like complete. So part of the things that I had to do, which I know it might sound silly for a lot of people, my mom for the longest time would tell me the music I was listening to was not helpful to me. And I thought that was insane. Like I thought she was just out of her mind for that. But then I started realizing that when I was listening to certain music, that it did make me want to drink, want to party, or made me really depressed. Like I was so obsessed with Taylor Swift, but like these songs that I listened to at these very low points in my life, it would bring me back to those low points, you know, almost like scent memory, but it was song memory. And I would get so depressed and I just wanted to drink. Like, and that's not for me, myself. I just had this thing like I needed to stop listening to negative music, you know. For me that was like secular music altogether. And when I stopped, I kid you not, when I stopped doing that, that's when I was finally like able to get off the methadone, stop smoking cigarettes. I don't know if I personally would have had the lasting change, and like not having all that negative stuff in my mind allowed room for more positive change and really started to change me internally. Because for me, like I don't want to get, you know, I don't know where
No, you're
everyone.
telling your story. No, you're telling your story. So, and we're asking questions. So please speak on that. That's what you know best. So just speak on that. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
It's a potential spam call. So
I for me, I see a lot of it as spiritual, and so much of what's going on today is spiritual. And listening to things that made me depressed and brought me to those low places just was not helpful. And when I started listening to positive music, and it just really, and things that made me feel good, you know, instead of just low. And I used to think that that stuff made me feel good. Like I used to think singing these, like when I listen to some of the stuff I used to listen to now, like if it comes on the radio when I'm at a store or something, and I'm like, oh my God, like how did I not notice that this was so depressing? Like my partner used to say, like, you listen to the most depressing music. Like I don't understand, like I don't understand. And but to me it wasn't depressing at that time. But
right.
it really, that helps so much change my mindset. For me, I started reading the Bible a lot. I really, so much helpful information in there, like just general, like when they say life doesn't come with a manual, like it does. And was just really good information for me on like how to conduct myself in a positive manner, because I had been living quite literally as a degenerate for so long and not being a good person to anyone I came into contact with. Even when I loved them very much and I wanted to be good, I didn't know how, you know, like I needed a total moral overhaul, really. And that really helped to give me
Yeah,
guidance.
that'll definitely give you a moral overhaul for sure. That's the book to go to if you want that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, take it with, like I said, it's different for everyone, but for me, that's what I had to do, and not in. I think people can take religion and take it to places it wasn't meant to go. You know what I mean? Like, there's no doubt about that. So I'm not by any means gonna say to go that to the point, you know, where people are hateful and like awful, but like just as guidance, like, you know, it treat others how you want to be treated, you know, like be honest, love your enemy. Like if someone needs fed, feed them, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
doing good things. That's another thing. If I see someone asking for money, like I'll give whatever I have. Like I, I try to help the person I see right there in front of me, bring them a sandwich. Like doing things like that makes me feel good. Like it helps me to feel like even if it's a small minuscule difference, it's something. Like if that's all I could do, that's what I do. When I take my son for a walk, we always take, because we go for walks every day, I take a bag with me and we pick up trash that we see on the side of the road everywhere we go and just pick up litter. And I'm like, if that's all I can do for my community today, it's better than doing nothing, you know?
Absolutely. It's a great
And
mindset.
and just little things like that have helped me to get out of that selfish, it's all about me sort of mindset, because I lived for so long only caring about me. And I would be so cruel and I didn't even realize it, because and I would think I'm living for everyone else. I'm not doing anything for me, you know, like
Right.
meanwhile, like it's all about me. Like I had to really be able to like take a step back and say, wow, like I really was super selfish and did not, like I thought I was only hurting me, but that was so far from the case. And
Are you familiar at all with, and I don't mean to step off track, I don't really
no,
think I'm stepping off track with this, to be honest with you, but are you familiar with the Mackenzie Shirillo case?
yeah,
Okay. Do you have
a
feelings
little
about?
bit, but she's the one that crashed her car into the
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
um it's heartbreaking. Like I think something obviously came over her where she was so angry, like, and she thought she was going to take them all out with her. And talk about, you know, this often I look at this all the time, because I've been in jail with someone who killed some, you know, which is a drunk driver and killed someone by not intentionally, but
Right.
you know, killed someone. And the fact, like, to me, almost that like it seems so awful and we think like, how could God allow these things to happen? But she lived and these children died, like, and she has to live with that. But with her, it almost, like, you would think that would be punishment, but with her it almost, you can't tell if she even cares, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't.
Do you know the story
Yeah.
I'm talking about, Rebecca?
No, I'm not familiar. It's
So
a story I've heard before, other people, but not this particular case.
yeah,
So
what's really
it's been
sad
done
about
before.
it, absolutely, and what actually has me glued to this case, unfortunately, is that I knew two people that lost two children the same night, the same way. But there was four in a car. There was four in a car. The girl lived. The girl driver lived, and that was 10 years ago. This month is 10 years ago that happened. January of 2025, this girl gets busted again, and they just ticketed her. They let her walk out. She's
Oh, my
responsible for the death of 3 lives.
Mm.
And over the course of 10 years, because I've looked her up on occasion, there's nothing. There is nothing. I'm actually going to do a video about that. And I'd like to reach out to you, Jacqueline, because I'd like to talk to you about that. So
Yeah.
I'm going to reach out to you after we do this live and ask you if you could come on and talk about that on about that. But
Yeah, of course.
okay, so but that's what it is, Rebecca. Exactly.
God.
She wasn't drunk though. She wasn't
No,
messed
no.
up, because there's video of this girl right before she sped 100 miles an hour without putting the brakes on, and
She's just
hit a wall. She was going to take herself out as well, it appeared. She
yeah.
lived. They saw her being very cautious at a turn right before she did that. So it wasn't like she was messed up and drunk driving or anything like that. This guy wanted to break up with her, is the story, and she had that shitty attitude, if I can't have you, nobody can.
Nobody
And
can,
instead
yeah.
of thinking about it for 10-15 minutes, nope. But apparently, like the day before, she went over that course like 7 times.
Oh,
like
wow.
where to hit the car because she had no
Oh.
business being there.
I didn't
So,
realize that.
yeah.
Wow.
So, but
Wow.
still, she had that attitude that Jacqueline's talking about, where she just lived for herself, completely selfish. Now, I'm not talking about your parents, Jacqueline. And I think it's great that what you needed was structure and routine and discipline, and you recognize that and you thrive on that. I need structure as well. I'm that person too. This girl, it doesn't seem like there was anything like it seems like when I hear them on those phone calls from prison, I hear her telling her mom how much she loves her and loves her, and her mom's just eating it up because I don't think her mom heard it when she was out. She did not do anything but actually verbally abuse her mom when she was out of prison, and
Yeah.
now that's the person that's there for her. I love you, mom, I love you, and the mom is just eating
Yeah.
this up
So
because
sad.
yeah, she let that kid go. Like, first of all, there was a 4-year age difference or a 3-year age difference with the guy and her. So she was 14 at the time, he was 17. Who thought that was right? Like,
Right.
the mom should have stepped in and said, hey, love each other from afar. You're too young. I know
Yeah.
he's 17, but he's 17. This girl was 14. There is a big difference when that is the gap that you're
Oh,
talking
oh
about.
yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
she also, they found mushrooms, I believe, right? They found mushrooms in the car, and they found, and she was smoking, but that wasn't the thing that caused the
No.
crash. Yeah.
No.
But that attitude is the same fucking attitude.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why
Absolutely.
attitude is so important. If you can't
It is.
change it, then you're running in circles and such. So I'm sorry, but
No, you're fine. That's why I love where, your ending of your videos where you say like, you're not, I don't want to butcher it now, but do better today, not have as good as you'll do tomorrow, or,
yeah, be
some
better today than you were yesterday, not half as
be
good.
exactly. Yes.
But
I love that because I always used to say like, like for me, I'm not, my competition now is just being a better person than I was yesterday. Like I don't
right,
compete with people. I don't look at stuff they have and like want that and that envy and jealousy because that's, somebody, and that was, a lot, especially when you're young, you think like if they, like you said about her, if I can't have him, nobody can have him. Like if somebody doesn't love you and want you, you shouldn't want them either. You know what I
exactly,
mean? Let them
exactly.
go. That's a sign it isn't right, because the right person will want you and you won't have to do,
The problem with this girl is that she was never told no.
yeah.
And so the first time she was told no was by this young man who kept telling her yes, and she was actually living with him. He had his own little
Oh,
apartment
wow.
at the side of the house. He was still on the same yard as his parents, and
Yeah.
they would go on vacation together. This girl wasn't even 18 years old when the crash happened. She was a day or two away from her 18th birthday. So I'm not saying this is the parents' fault. I'm saying
Yeah.
the parents, especially the mother of the
Yeah.
daughter, should have put her foot down. But I feel like this person, when you put your foot down, all you dealt with it was something that could have gone to physical, obviously, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you're afraid, and
Yeah.
that's where it can cross over to unfortunately CPS, because they fail in those occasions and they fail in bigger occasions. Rebecca Michello, unfortunately, her grandson is a poster child for how bad they fail. So we definitely need,
Yeah.
I don't think it's up to other people to raise our children.
Right.
But when your child is young and you just keep giving them shit to make them stop crying or to make them not
Right.
be an interference or something that intercepts your life, if you do that, that's what
That
you've created.
spoiled
This
brat
whole way.
mentality.
Yeah, it just grows and it
Oh,
grows and
yeah.
it grows, and that's the time that you have the power over your child to say no. If you're not good, you're not going there,
Yeah.
and stick by it. But the
Yeah.
parents, half the time, they're not sticking by the shit because they don't want to fight with their kid and make their whole night about fighting with their kid. Fucking
Yeah.
make the whole night about fighting with your kid, because
Yeah.
maybe it'll save years later of bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about her mom. I know my mom, like when we moved up here, she became a single mom and was working all the time. And I literally, like, my mom she would never be okay with half the things that like my friends' parents were okay with. Like the girl that gave me the stuff, her mom was the one who got it for her. You know what I mean? Her mom got her the stuff. So my mom, she would talk to this girl's mom and I would say, I'm going to spend the night at so and so's house, and she would make sure the mom was going to be there and everything, but she didn't know, that she was letting us do these things or leave with these guys, you know what I mean?
Oh,
And
of course.
so there's like, and when I mean, obviously she started getting suspicious, but she had to work, she had to do things, like I think she just quite literally, like, at first she didn't suspect, because I was such a good kid when we moved up here. I was so, like, I was in ballet since the time I was 3. I really, like, I was in dance, I was on the golf team. Even in high school I was on the golf team. Like, I outwardly looked somewhat together, but inwardly I was a mess. And I would sneak off to these places and tell my mom, everything's fine. And it wasn't until, I got arrested in Chicago and she was like, what the heck? Like, I just literally ran away. I mean, there is a level, like, I do think a lot of parents probably do exactly what you're saying, but I know in our situation, like, she fought so hard, like, fought so hard for me to tell me the right thing and how to like, not, and everything she said, like, I was like, you're crazy, it's different for me. Like, she would tell me, these people don't really care about you, like, these guys, they just want something, but I thought I knew everything, right? I thought I was so smart, that I had it all figured out. Like, I knew everything about the world. And I mean, I was so foolish. I mean, if I could go back and like tell my younger self anything, it would just be like, you don't have to be liked by these people. Like, you don't have to do things that you're uncomfortable with, that make you uncomfortable, that put you in bad situations. Because if they cared about you, they wouldn't put you in these situations. Like, she would quite literally set me up to get taken advantage of by someone the first time we went out, like, and I had never even kissed a guy, so
Wow.
it was a bad, I really, and one bad thing would happen and it would spiral into another, and it just kept fueling that, like we were talking about, the emotional pain. um like, I would just keep wanting to cover that up. I would just keep, and then something else would happen. So then, like, and it just was this cycle that I could not, like, snowballed, like, I just kept snowballing. And my grandparents tried to get me out of it. Like, but yeah, I see that spoiled mentality, and so many parents are okay with it. Like, I could not believe when I saw this girl's mom buy us alcohol and cigarettes and then drugs. Like, I could not believe it, because, like, I just didn't
Wow.
know that existed. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know my mom, like, I couldn't even tell her that these things, like, we were doing these things, much less her actually go get them for me.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, that's criminal. That's criminal, obviously.
Yeah.
Criminal
Yeah.
behavior right there.
Oh,
Very
thank you, Zelda. That's so sweet. Thank you. I
absolutely
appreciate it.
criminal behavior there. So, let me ask you that. Let me ask you. So because I'm curious, and I know a few people are curious. So you have been on, you said Suboxone, and you've been on methadone. Is that correct? Right.
Yes.
So
Yes.
first of all, can you tell us what the difference is, and then how does each one feel? You brought up a third one, but I thought that was like
Subutex.
which
Yeah,
is that's a generic, more or less, Suboxone. Am I correct or no?
yeah, more, well, it doesn't have the naloxone in it. That like, a lot of people, it's what they call, like, an instant release. Like, it doesn't go over a course of the day. Like, you usually have to take it I mean, some doctors prescribe Suboxone to be taken 3 times a day. So I mean, I guess that
Right.
they do that for that too, even though that it can be time released too. But the naloxone, I think, is the biggest. It's been a long time since I've been on Suboxone, but the naloxone, which is what I was allergic, like, I quite literally got really sick from the naloxone. it's like a filler. I'm not sure what that, I think that's the blocker part of it, what blocks the opiates, whereas the Subutex doesn't have that. So you could technically mix it. I don't know that you would feel it the same way, but like Suboxone, if you try to take opiates, you will get violently sick. Like, I mean,
Does it
really, really
take the
sick.
craving away? Does it take the craving away? Or is it
Yes,
just like,
yes and no.
man, it doesn't make any sense for me to do that because I'm just going to get violently sick?
That's pretty much what it, for me, that's pretty much what it was for me. Now, the methadone really did take the cravings away for me. Like it really did. I couldn't even consider drinking even. Like, I mean, it took all cravings away from me. But I have heard of other people that did uppers and stuff on it, but my body, I just wouldn't recommend. For me, I mean, I guess anything's better than the alternative, you know, so to speak. But if you can do it short term, getting on anything like that long term, in my opinion, is just, you're switching, you know what I mean? You're almost just switching it. And then, so, I mean, I don't know. I've heard doctors say, I don't want to sound like
Well,
I'm
there
giving
is a
advice because I
benefit.
don't know. Everybody's different, but
Well,
I've
there
heard
is a
doctors
benefit.
say some people just need something forever. Like, I don't agree with that. I just think it's
Yeah,
our
but
mindset.
don't you, I mean, seriously, yeah, I would much rather have somebody getting medication every day from a doctor than trying to score street drugs from
Oh,
somebody to.
definitely. And that's why I said, I mean, it's definitely better than the alternative, especially nowadays where you don't know what you're getting.
Exactly,
That's the
exactly.
scariest part. And this is what I just was giving my nephew. He's starting high school, and I was giving him the talk, you know, the drug talk. And I said, you just can't do it because even pot now can be laced. If you
Yeah,
buy
you
pot
don't know
off the
what's in
street,
it.
you don't know what's in it. People are overdosing, and kids are overdosing and dying off weed because it has
Yeah.
fentanyl in it. The dealers are putting it in there to make them, you know, want more of it or whatever. But I don't understand. Yeah, I can't understand that. But not not any, I mean, I would not ever say that it's better to do anything else because you just can't trust anything now. At least when I was a kid, I don't know that I probably wouldn't have survived if I was a teenager now, because the way we used was so reckless. Had we have had the stuff that's out there now, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. It's so dangerous. I mean, you're quite literally gambling with your life every single time. I mean, it was dangerous before, but it's really dangerous now. Like, if you can possibly, like, if that could be possible, it is. Like, I mean, it takes such a small amount of, you know, fentanyl to overdose you. I mean, the last few times that I overdosed, had I have not been with someone and had Narcan, like, it just was like I usually didn't, and it just, the divine way it worked out. Had that have not been the situation, I wouldn't be here. And I mean, I did such a small amount because I had just overdosed and I knew that it was dangerous. And that's the insanity of our minds when we're used. Like, I knew I had just overdosed off the same stuff, but I kept doing it. I overdosed off the same bag 3 times, and instead of getting rid of it, like, just kept doing it. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it makes no sense. It makes no sense. I still cannot wrap my mind around why or how, like, what made me do these things, you know? Like that's why I say it's like a spell. I mean, there's no logical sense. It wasn't fun. I didn't enjoy it. Had not been fun for a really long time. And but I just kept doing it. It was like a compulsion. I just kept doing it even though I was miserable every time I did it. I hated myself for doing it, but I could not stop myself. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So,
But sorry,
how?
I got off topic with
No. That's, you're doing fine. Seriously, I'm grateful. Everybody's grateful. So,
yeah, Annie, I'm with you on that too. I would agree with that also. If I had to, if for some reason, God forbid, I had to get on something, I would do Suboxone, not methadone again, for sure. It is very hard to get off of. Very.
and it's not as hard to get on. Is it? When you get off Suboxone, you don't go through any kind. I mean, you go through a withdrawal, right? Certainly, you do.
You do, yeah, but it's not. I have a friend that's trying to get off methadone now, but she's been on it for 17 years, and she's having a really hard time getting off of it. The way your bones ache. Oh, thank you, Stasia. That's putting it mildly. But she says like how your bones ache and like the restless legs, like because it quite literally that particular medication stores in your bones. So as it's leaving, you feel it, like you literally feel it, and it is
Oh wow! See that? I
very
didn't know
difficult.
that.
Yeah,
I did
it
not know that.
stores up in your body, so you will feel it for sometimes weeks after, depending how long you've been on it. You can feel it for weeks or months after you actually stop it, the detox. Whereas like Suboxone or something, within a few days, like it is bad. I mean, I'm not taking that away, but like it's not, like a few days and you're starting to feel better. You're able to eat again. I mean, I've seen people where like they were throwing up and just could not even get out of the bed to go to the bathroom coming off methadone. I mean, it was, luckily that was not my experience,
Well, you
but
could die coming off methadone without
yes,
any kind of
yeah,
without any kind of treatment. You could definitely die coming off methadone.
Mm.
So,
yeah. I saw someone say something about their daughter being on methadone for life, and they
and that
did, like
the doctor said that her daughter. Here it is, right here.
Mm.
yeah. My mom felt the same way about mine.
No, that's what
It's
but that's what the doctors are saying, that she'll
Yeah,
probably be on
no,
it
and
forever.
I had a doctor tell me like some people just need it for the rest of their lives. Like
Oh,
I'm
that's what you were
grateful
saying.
that I was able to. I think it just, if she gets to the point where she's ready, she'll know it. You know what I mean? But it's better to do that than to go back onto substances like we were saying, you know. And I know that's hard to, because my mom really, she would harp on me, but I couldn't do it until I was ready. I could not get off of it until I was ready, because I knew if I got off of it at the time when she first started bringing it up, like I would have relapsed. You know what I mean? Like you can't, you got to be ready. You really do have to. And some people, if that keeps them on the straight and narrow and they are on it for the rest of their lives, like it's still way better than the alternative. You know,
Yeah,
I know it's
absolutely.
not, you know, but they, you, we know, we know our bodies and we know our minds, and it's just, you have to, if if you cannot, like I know I could not contemplate getting off of it for a very long time, you know.
Right.
So, and it just depends. And if I wouldn't have felt that way, then I would have stayed on it, you know. And I would go back on some, if I started to get too squirrely, I would go back on something like Suboxone or something to prevent myself from the alternative, because it's just too dangerous. You don't want to risk that for anything.
Now, how hard would that be for you to do that? Would a doctor go ahead and give you Suboxone now?
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Even if
If
you're not actively using something?
yeah, I mean, I have not ever tried to per se get it when I wasn't actively using, but I know it is used as a preventative. I know that the mat treatment places that I went to did do that. So, I imagine that, but I haven't actually done it. But yeah, I mean, there is an industry aspect to this as well, you know. It is a business as well.
Yeah, but I would think, and I'm not trying to argue, I would think that I don't know, there are people that get high off of Suboxone, right?
I'm sure there are people that, you know, will get high off of anything. I could not, like, I don't know if it's because I used for so long and used so much. Like, I did not get high off Suboxone. Now, I did get high off of methadone, and I had to come, like, I mean, I was sleeping 24/7 because it just knocked me out. Like, the thing with the mat clinics that, you know, everything has issues. You know, no industry is perfect, especially when we're dealing with medications. But they make it very easy to go up, but they make it very hard to come down. So, every day when you go in, when you're first coming off of it, they'll say, would you like to go up? Would you like to go up? And like, me personally as an addict, when they first started asking me that, I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, of course I want to go up. Like, what? I've always thought, it was really hard to get medications, but like, sure, yeah, I'll go up. And, and they just kept asking. And they even in the first week would allow you to come back a second time in the day. Like for the first week, you can come back twice a day and go up twice. So then I was like, well, and it doesn't cost anything extra. And I was like, all right, yeah, like I'll be back before noon, like, and I just kept going up, 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 up. And really there's no, I mean, I'm sure there's a limit. Like, I'm not going to say there isn't a limit, but I got up into the 210s and I was like,
Wow.
which is extremely high. And I was sleeping all the time. I mean, I was borderline just unconscious 24/7. And when I tried to get them to bring me down, I had to jump through so many hoops. It was very, very difficult. And yeah, I would say for anyone who's considering, at least just take into consideration the higher you go, the harder it is to come down. The more your body gets used to, you really don't need that much. That stuff is so strong. And after a certain point, it doesn't feel any different. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel any, like, sleep is sleep. So
Right,
if
right,
you're
right.
sleeping, you're asleep. So I would say, if you stop feeling sick, then stop going up. Once you're not sick anymore, don't just, because it's very easy and tempting to say, with the addict mentality, like, I want more, 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 more. At least for me, I like, if someone offered it, I was going to take it. So, but be
Right.
cautious of that, because it's a lot harder to come down when you're at a very, very high level like that.
Wow. Isn't that
Thank you,
something?
Marianne.
Does anybody else have any anything else that they would like to ask Jacqueline? It's a fascinating story. I know that so do you continue to go to, are you still in the rooms? Do you continue to
Yeah.
go to meetings?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so, like, what does your maintenance plan look like?
I mean, just
How often do you have a sponsor? Do you have a sponsor? Does somebody sponsor you? I mean, do you sponsor anybody? Are you a
I do
sponsor?
not. I do not sponsor anyone yet. I actually just got when I first started going back to the rooms, probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago, I got a
Now, are they
sponsor.
NA or AA? I'm sorry.
AA. I do
Yeah,
AA.
yeah.
Here it's just better for me. I know less people that I used to, use with and stuff. So it's just, for me, that's my safeguard. But I used to find trouble anywhere I went. But
Yeah.
yeah, for me, I do go. I really do like it. I find it super helpful. I would like to sponsor people one day, but I haven't started doing that yet, because I just went back, like I said, 3 or 4 months ago, because it wasn't that I wanted to use, but I felt like I needed like support of, of people that understood, that were going through what I went through. Like, I have my mom and my partner, but they're not addicts, and they didn't, it's hard to talk to people about addiction. I've never experienced it, because it's quite literally, I wouldn't understand. It's insane, it's just
Right.
insane. So it's nice to have people around you that understand, and that, can say, even if it's just like, I know how you're feeling, like, it's okay, like, because sometimes we don't want to hear, like, just don't do it,
Right, right. You
like,
want to relate. You want somebody that you
yeah,
can relate to. Absolutely.
I can
yeah,
remember telling Gino, like, just don't do it. Just
yeah,
stop. Like,
yeah.
and I would get so frustrated
I
because he
know.
didn't understand. It was, he would be in physical pain and vomiting, and, I don't have to tell you all the details, but it was so bad that, I just didn't get it. And to this day, I still don't know it all. I'm not going to lie. I'm learning being here with everybody. I'm learning a lot, that I didn't know. I have a better understanding of what Gino was going through, but I still don't know 100%. I think, if you've never had that problem, you'll never 100% understand what people go through.
I
Well,
agree.
and I mean, I don't get it. I mean, like I keep saying, like I constantly will lay in bed and be like, why? Like, what drove me to do this for so long? You know, like it is unexplicable. So that's why I say if you haven't been, it's impossible to even, I don't know, entertain the notion because I don't get it either. It doesn't make sense at all. I mean, the level of insanity, the things we will do to still be unhappy, even though you know, is like, I mean, it defies all logic, literally. So I can understand that. And I wish that it had been that easy. Like I remember my mom saying the same thing to me, and I completely get why she would feel that way. Like because it seems like it's because it is that simple, just not do it, you know, right? It is at a foundational level like that. But there's some sort of spiritual like I said, I keep using the word spell because I just don't know how else to better to describe it. Like there a compulsive level that is so hard to break that I don't know. It's I still haven't figured out. I started going to school for addiction counseling in the midst of like one of the times that I was in recovery just to try to because I thought if I took enough classes about it that I would understand why I did what I did and that I would be able to fix myself. You know, I would be able to change doing what I did and I mean, it didn't, you know, it obviously it didn't change that like but I thought if I just learned enough about addiction that I could find a way out, you know, because it
Right.
just it baffled me and it still does. It still does. I hate it so much.
Are you not that I think this is a great idea, to be honest with you, for my own personal reasons, but have you thought about working in that field of addiction? Is it something that you would consider? And let me just be blatant. I don't think it's a good idea. I
Yeah.
don't think it's a good idea because what's that saying that you will get dirty before you'll get somebody clean? I've just
Yeah.
unfortunately seen people that I thought really had it together, and in weak moments, they're not even here anymore. And they were counselors once upon a time ago trying to do the
Yeah.
right thing. But on days
Mhm.
that they were weak, they still had to go to work and hear stories about kids glamorizing the shit. And
Right. Oh,
and
no, you know, there's definitely that aspect. I've learned for me, and that's why I was afraid of even going to like meetings for a while because I just being around people and listening to the music like triggered me. And but I figured not only that, but now I don't know that I'm at a place I haven't considered it this time around because I don't it would be very hard for me not to be very hurt when it didn't work. You know what I mean? Like when you invest so much time in people and you really want to help them, and if it doesn't work, like I don't know how you don't take that home, you know, like how you can just leave it at the office unless you're like emotionally disconnected. And I just don't want to get like that again because that was a huge part of my issue is being that emotional disconnect where I just didn't I had to not think about things which made me kind of callous, you know what I mean? But if I constantly thought about how I was affecting people, it made me really you know,
right, vulnerable and everything, of course. And yeah.
right.
Hmm. All right, let's see what we got. Keep
I
pushing
saw
it.
that I didn't see whose name it was on the last one, but that you had.
About putting up about sponsor, having a sponsor.
No, I see that one. I think that's really helpful too. Oh, Zelda, yes, I wanted to say thank you. That's awesome.
Well, I think God's there for a reason, and
Yeah.
like I get down on my knees. I'm grateful for, and that's another thing that was brought up in the video that I'm doing about this girl, the Mackenzie, because like her mother is just now telling her how to pray to God. Like, in other words, she's teaching her daughter that God doesn't answer your prayers when you want them answered. God's not a wishing well. Like this girl is over. She's almost 20 now, I want to say, right?
Yeah.
So, or she's 19. too old to just start learning what God is and who God
Yeah.
is and how to incorporate God into your life. And they really miss the chance. And there's a lot of parents that miss the chance with that, because I mean, I sit back and I say that should have been brought in the home before this person got incarcerated.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and I don't think, again, a slippery slope with religion.
Yeah.
But I use
Absolutely.
it. I use it the same way that you use it. It's a guide to keep me in line, uh, to be the best person I can be.
Yeah.
And that's what it does for me. So,
Too much of anything, taking
exactly.
anything too far is always, I forget that saying that like, I feel bad using moderation in terms with God, but like, when you're taking it to the point where you're being hateful to people or wanting to harm people, or obviously that's a problem, and I see a lot of that in religion, or using it to manipulate people. There's a
Right.
lot of stuff that goes on that it's not great, but God himself like is love and is helpful. And I mean, for me, that's what it took, because I went to every rehab. I went to so many detoxes. I tried so many things. And I knew God from the time I was a young child, like I had been in church and stuff. But the way I don't know, I guess I just never felt like I was worth saving. You know what I mean? Like I always had really low self-worth. My father committed suicide when I was 2. And so I always felt like if I was worth being alive, he would have been there. So I always had that sort of,
Right.
issues. I don't know how to say it. I just had really low self-worth, and I didn't see any value in myself. And even though I had a stepfather that was around through a lot of my younger years, when my parents divorced, it triggered those abandonment issues all over again. And that's, what kind of started the ball rolling, whether or not I probably would have ended up there anyways. I'm sure, because, you have to see yourself as being worth something. You know what I mean? And I just didn't. I dated super low because I didn't think anyone of value, or I surrounded myself with people super low because I didn't think anyone of value would want to be around me, or that I was worth anything. Like I thought the only people that would be interested in me are those that quite literally abused me, and were really bad to me. And that was, getting that out of my mindset took a lot also. And when you were talking about, that addictive mindset, when you live a certain way for so long, that is probably a huge part of the battle, is learning, rewiring your brain to not think
Right.
like an addict anymore, not have that mentality
That's a
anymore,
lot
and
of work. It's a lot of work.
it's very difficult to learn how. It takes therapy. I mean, it takes work. I mean, to learn, because we don't even half the time realize, I mean, at least I didn't even realize that I was acting out like these impulsive, selfish, like not thinking about how to affect me, not thinking how to affect my family, not thinking at all, quite literally, and just acting on things, and just constantly impulsive, and needing more, 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 and never being satisfied. It's just that addictive behavior. And I could have abused anything. I mean, food, shopping, it really didn't matter it didn't matter what it was. Like I just, constantly wanted more of it. I wanted that feeling to try to make me feel whole, and it just, none of that stuff, that surface stuff, filled those voids. Thank you, Milk and Honey. That's sweet. I'm trying. I really am trying for my son. I mean, I see him and he's so precious, so little, and I just think, oh, I don't want him to experience these things. I don't want him to go through any of this stuff. I don't want my girls to go through these things, but I missed their lives quite literally. And because they were so young, and I just think these moments are so precious, and I just want to be there. And I see how he observes me and like mimics behaviors that I do already at 2. So I think, wow, if I don't like really be cautious of like how I am presenting myself, how I act, behind closed doors, like he's going to mimic those things and not realize and think that's how, like we are an example for our children, and
Absolutely. And they
and I
want to
didn't.
be, they want to be like us. They want to be like their.
Yeah. And I mean, and not always being a good example is sufficient. Like my mom always was an upstanding person, honest. I never saw her partake in any like shady behavior. She always goes above and beyond for everyone. So that's not necessarily enough. But if we don't at least try, there's no hope. You know what I mean? Like, at
Right.
least there's a better chance if I know, like, I want to set a good example. I'm going to always be honest with him about my experiences, like I was with my nephew. I mean, I asked his grandmother and I was like, is it okay if I'm just like really honest? Because I'm like, it's not that I'm trying to scare him, but it's scary. I mean, the reality of using drugs is scary. So, I mean, I was like, I'm not trying to scare you, but you should be scared because it is scary. Like
Right.
he's seen where it's taken me. And I was like, I was surprised no one had given him the talk, and he seemed so, sweet and innocent, but so did I when I started using, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Right.
so I just
And
like,
you don't know who's going to take advantage of that sweet and innocent. Yeah.
right,
Exactly.
exactly. And it only takes one time for someone to offer you something. Like I told him, when you're not used to this stuff, someone just could offer you a joint in the bathroom. Like I know when I was in high school, we smoked joints in the bathroom all the time. So they just have to offer you something. And if it's laced with something, who knows what could happen? Like you
Yeah.
should be scared. You should be very scared because it is so much easier and better to just not do it ever.
Exactly.
Don't
Exactly.
even dabble. Like it's not worth it. You're not missing anything. Like
No.
he saw me when I was in my psychosis. I'm like, that could happen. Some people get stuck in that and they never come out. I've seen that at the psych wards, when I would get put in those facilities. So I know that that's a very real possibility. And I was like, just don't do it. You're not missing anything. The life I have now feeling sober is so much better than anything I ever felt using,
I just want to go back to, we were talking about religion, and I find that a lot of people find it too late. They go to prison and then all of a sudden they find God, I feel like, as a last resort. And I don't know if that's wrong to say, but it's my opinion. I think
Yeah, some people, I think you're right. I think some people use it as an excuse, and some people, it's pronounced Stacia, just so you know. Stacia, like Anastasia, is Stacia's name. She taught me last week.
Oh,
So,
Stacia. Okay.
no, in the chat, there's people saying, but I think that
Thank you, Annie.
Rebecca, I lost my train of thought.
we were just talking about people finding God and religion as a last resort when they're looking at life in prison or
right. Well, but you also have to remember people a lot, and this isn't finding excuses, but a lot of people that are looking at life in prison, most of the ones of recent have been in they've been in confinement cells, so they might not be able to get certain things like tablets and this and that. But the one thing they'll always be able to get, Rebecca, is something for their religion, whether it be a Quran, whether it be a Torah, whether it be a Bible. That is something that they will always have in their cell if they want. And if they have nothing else, trust me, they're going to ask for that. And they're going to start reading it simply because that's the only thing they have.
Right. Exactly.
And maybe that's how they're making their connection. Again, I think some of it's real, but I think some of it is not real.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think God will meet us wherever we're at. And sometimes we have to get to really low points to get to the place where we're like, okay, I've tried everything on my own. I've tried to do this my way, every which way, and it's not working. So even if it's a last resort, like, God, please, can you help me out of this situation? I don't think he might. If we're genuinely asking, he wants us to call on him no matter where we're at, how we're getting there. I mean, one thing I've learned is, when I was reading, he said he didn't come for those who are already good. He came for those who are lost, who have lost their way and need found back, you know, and
Right.
And if you actually, those people that aren't aware with the Bible, the people that, look at the people that Jesus hung around. It
right.
wasn't the rich and the wealthy. It was
Yeah.
the outcast that nobody wanted. That's
And
exactly what Jesus went for.
yeah, and I mean, but yeah, I've heard this quote many times. Like, if you have religious hurt, I mean, Jesus did too. They crucified him. You know, he was crucified by his own people who should have recognized him, but they didn't. You know, it was those who people looked down on that he chose. You know, they didn't choose
Exactly.
him. He chose them. You know, and I always found that really comforting. That, you know, even though he knows who we are before we even come here, he still will choose us and try to help us. And sometimes we don't understand why things happen. That's something I've, you know, just accepted now, is that we don't always understand, especially in the moment, but eventually we do. And even if we don't know until we get back to him and understand, like, it's life is so complex. You know, one thing I learned is life is so complex, and sometimes the most merciful thing seems like the most awful one in the moment, but it really is. You know, we don't know how the ripple effect is going to affect people, so sometimes it seems like a really bad thing, but in the end it can be helpful to everyone. I mean, I know that I let so many things keep me mad at God that quite literally I had done. You know, I was blaming him for not having my girls around, for why, you know, I got in these bad relationships, and how could he allow me to get in these situations? How could he allow this to happen that time? But it was my poor choices that led me into all of these situations, you know. So I was mad at him for my own.
For giving you free will.
Yeah, exactly. And I often say, like, I wish we did. I like a lot. Like, I get why he wanted us to have it, but I wish we didn't, because I wish I didn't have the free will to make the choices that I made. You know, like,
I
man, I
know
was so
somebody
stupid.
somebody in the chat is saying that she's upset with God, you know, for her current situation. And I can relate to that, because when everything happened with my grandson and my son, I cursed God. I told him he wasn't real. It was all, you know, I am just now in 4 years getting back to being a believer again,
Yeah,
you know, and I have to believe that these things happen to me for a reason. I've since made up with God, but I've asked him to, you know, simmer down a little bit, that, you know, I can't take much more. But
yeah,
I can relate to, I believe it's Buffy saying, you know, that she's just angry, you know, and I get it. And I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Here's the thing, and I'm not speaking about Buffy. I saw the comment. The reason why I didn't want to put the comment up there was because I didn't really want to get into this debate, and we're not having one, because
yeah,
everybody's religion is their
Mhm.
own personal thing. I get
yeah,
that. But here's what I will say about it. I seriously, you can ask my dogs, because I make them move now, because there's only so much room in that bedroom, where I get down on my knees, and I thank God for bringing me home from work safely, for my
yeah,
dogs being safe. And
yeah,
I get up in the morning and I get on the same knees and I say, thank you for waking me up and having me be here. So, you know, when he's not doing extra spectacular things in my life, I need to also recognize the things that he's still doing in my life. You know what I'm saying? And I think that a lot of people, and I'm not saying this was you, Rebecca, or this is you, Buffy. I don't. But I think a lot of people go to God as the first thing when things go wrong,
yeah,
but they fail going to him when things go right. And I just wish that there was a little bit more of that, because it would even things out a little bit. And I think that religion, listen, I don't buy, I'm a gay woman. I obviously don't buy into certain Christians' ways
yeah,
of thinking and such like that. But, you know, my relationship with God is I am the person exactly that God wanted me to be. And I'm always trying to stay minded in that. I do crazy things. I say shitty things. I do it on this channel or the other channel, especially when I'm picking on Gypsy Rose's people and stuff like that. I get it. I'm not
man.
perfect. I'm a human being. I'm not perfect. I don't say, well, I see all is good in Christ. Being a Christian is just believing Jesus Christ died for your sins. And he's the Son of God. That's all it takes to be a Christian. It doesn't make you a good Christian. It just makes you a Christian in your beliefs. But in order to look, the Bible to me is just like you said, Jacqueline. It is a guide to help you live a better life, or at least a life. My philosophy is, don't take anything out of this planet or on this earth that wasn't here when you got here. Don't take anything away. And please, if you're going to leave anything, leave positive. You're here. Leave a positive legacy. Don't leave a negative legacy. Leave something good behind. You were here. God gave you this gift. And that's the way I think you pay back God. You live the best life you can live.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that has honestly saved my life many a times. Saved my life, because there are many things I've done. I was like, yeah, I ain't going to go over too well with God. And you know what I'm saying? So if God remains as somebody spiritual in your life, and how you view God, because it's all about how you view God too, then living up to the expectation is really your own expectation of what is good.
Yeah. That was really well put. Thank you. So I didn't know how to answer that. I heard someone say not too long ago, basic instructions before leaving Earth for Bible, basic instructions before leaving Earth.
That makes sense.
And I really like that, because it's just.
What is that? That's an
anagram.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, what is that called? Jamie's in the chat. She knows. She's an English major. I used to know. What is that called, Jamie? Anagram.
Wow.
What is it, Rebecca?
Acronym?
Yes, it's an acronym. That's exactly what it is.
Close.
So I love that. I love that.
Yeah. I really like that too. When I heard it, I was like, that
again, please say.
Basic instructions before leaving Earth.
I love that. Basic instructions before leaving Earth.
I've never heard that.
I hadn't heard it until, when I started on this journey last year or so. I heard that, and it just clicked. When someone said that, I was like, wow, that really makes so much sense. You know what I mean? Because that is like, and like how we were saying about religion, it's just how you take it. I mean, it's not meant to be used. He never meant for it to be used to like harm people. In fact, over and over, he says, love everyone as yourself, love your neighbor as yourself, love your enemy even, treat them how you want to be treated. And so when we're judging people, that's not our place. We are not here to judge others. We're here to love them, and I find so much comfort in that, because he didn't want anyone when we leave here to be able to say, well, I did more things for God than you, or, or even while we're here, I've done this, and this person, we're all messed up in God's eyes, because he's perfect, right? Like, no one is any better than anyone else. We all have a different story. We're all here to learn. Like, my perspective is, we're all here on earth to learn, and our soul to grow, as human beings. And whether or not we know that we're going to go through these things ahead of time or not, sometimes I wonder, because, it would make sense to me, but I definitely think I've learned a lot. I've made so many mistakes, and I wish I wouldn't have hurt so many people in the process, but I wouldn't now go back and change anything, because I don't know that I would have ended up where I am right now, because
exactly.
Even before drugs, I was selfish. I had a lot of issues. Like, life humbled me, like, it humbled me. And I'm grateful to be who I am today, and to know what I know. And the way I look at people and treat people is completely different than how I did before, And
so just tell me again what the Bible is, because I'm sending it to somebody. Basic instructional before leaving. What is it?
Basic instructions before leaving Earth.
Yeah, I'm sending that to somebody.
I like that.
I love it. Somebody's going to learn something today.
Oh, I'm glad you like that. but yeah, and I mean, Rebecca, I can't even imagine, you know, what you've gone through. Like, I really cannot. So I could totally understand being upset with God. I mean, of course. And like I said, one of the things that, you know, is just free will. That's one thing I really had to wrap my mind around when people, that's one of the things I get a lot is like, if God is so good as he says, then why is there so much bad in the world? You know, like that's one of the biggest things I hear a lot. And it comes down to free will, unfortunately, you know. And humans, he didn't want to strong arm us into being good, you know. And unfortunately, when we have the choice to choose what we do, sometimes we choose wrong, you know, we don't choose right. And it's unfortunate. And I really like how you put it, Toddie, about saying, you know, because I know what I did is I blame God for everything that went wrong, even though I chose, like, it was directly because of my actions that those things happened, but I would blame him. And when good things would happen, I took credit for all of that. You know what I mean? Like, I did that. And you know, I did it. I did it because when I was in control, I made a mess. But yeah, so I really like how you put that, because I don't think I could have put it quite as nearly as eloquently, and that was really well said, because that's exactly how I was, you know. And that's why it's so important for me. Like you said, my mom, or if she gets home safely from leaving my house, if I get from point A to point B safely, thank you, God, because that's a blessing. Because how many people don't? How many
Exactly.
people are walking down the street and get hit by a bus? You know what I mean? Freak
Or get
accidents happen all
plowed,
the
and it
time.
doesn't even have to be a freak accident anymore. In this world,
Yeah.
it's random.
Oh,
It is
yeah.
so in the United States, it is so friggin' random that I'm serious. I'm
Yeah.
serious as
You
far
go
as
to
being
Walmart
safe
and you don't know if you're going to get stabbed. I mean,
or shot.
seriously?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
exactly. It
exactly.
is exactly the way. So as far as God coming back into play, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Shake it
Yeah.
up a little bit. Shake it up,
Yeah.
because some people need to be humbled, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
know I did. I mean, I definitely did. And like, I'm grateful for that, you know, because everything that I thought was important, the stuff, the money, the accolades, you know, whatever, like everything that I thought, your house, your car, what we like was so like those things do not matter, you know, those things do not matter at all. There will always be someone who has more than you and someone who has less than you. And just for me, being so grateful and appreciating all the things that I have, like I said, after almost losing my mind where I couldn't even shower, like I'm just so grateful to wake up and exist and like be able to take care of myself and stuff. So everything else is icing on the cake, you know, there are cherries
Right.
on top. And I'm so grateful, like, and I'm grateful to have that perspective, because it is totally unlike the person who I was before, who didn't appreciate anything that I had. You know, I had so many good things, so many good people at different points, like my family. And, you know, I lost most of my family during my addiction. They passed away. And, you know, that stuff is, there's so many things I wish I could say that I can't now, you know, like, but instead of those things keeping me sick like I used to, I let it fuel me to do the right thing, because I don't want to have it happen again,
That's
you
very
know?
important. Yeah. So very, very, very important. Yes. And absolutely so, because I have a friend that unfortunately lost his dog, and I'm going to say it the way I see it. I think he used that as an excuse to break his sobriety. And I
Yeah.
said to him, yo, man, don't put this on your dog. That's not fair to put this on your dead dog. You broke the sobriety because you broke the sobriety. You know, quitting smoking was one of the hardest things I ever had to do. Quit
Yeah.
nicotine, because, you know, it's legal.
Yeah.
But I was going to quit smoking on my 50th birthday, which was 12 years ago. And my dog got sick. And I bought a carton of cigarettes that should have lasted me till my birthday, May 24th. And I should have ran out on my birthday. I ran out of those cigarettes May 8th. My dog, I'm sorry. Yeah, I ran out of those cigarettes on May 8th. My dog died May 6th. Okay. So, I mean, so I smoked like a fiend. And then I smoked like a fiend because that was supposed to last me another couple weeks, those cigarettes, right? And when he died, I had every reason to go and buy more cigarettes, because one, my 50th birthday wasn't here yet, and two, I lost my dog. And I said to myself, I don't want to put that on him. I don't want to. I don't want to say I wanted to quit smoking, but because Miles, his name was Miles, but because Miles died, I couldn't. Like, I thought, how shitty to put that on my dog.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, or fortunately, it's fortunate. I quit smoking 18 days before I was supposed to quit smoking, or 16 days before I was supposed to quit smoking. And I said, I quit smoking because of my son, because of my boy, my
Good
dog,
for you. Yeah.
And these other dogs had the benefit of it. These other dogs didn't have to grow up with me smelling like cigarettes and
Yeah.
all that crap. You know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
I think one of the most important things is the serenity prayer, how they end all the meetings. God grant me
Yeah.
the serenity to accept the
The
things I
things
cannot
that cannot
change,
change, the courage to
the
change
courage
the
to change
things I
things I
can.
can, and the wisdom to know the
Know the
difference.
difference. Yeah.
And that is huge.
It is. It is.
If you got the key to that, or
Mm-hmm.
you keep that in mind, and I keep that in mind. I wear it on this. This is inscribed on this ring that I wear all the time. I don't take this ring off. The inscription inside of it is the serenity prayer. And I'm committed to that. I'm very committed to that because, understanding understanding that you can't always understand things is an important thing, because
Yeah.
that makes you humble.
Yeah.
That makes you humble. It shows that you need help in things. And then accepting things that you can't change also shows that you're not the greatest force on this earth.
Amen.
And
Yeah.
then having the
Thank
courage to
goodness.
do things that are wrong is something that just shows your strength, and it shows your autonomy and your own spirit, your free will, if you will, you know. So I think keeping those three things as the forefront, I keep those things as the forefront in my mind. They kind of keep me going in the direction that I personally want, that I feel is right for my life. And it keeps me humble too. I can't always, it builds character. Character is something very important. Character is very important, but it takes a while to build character, I think, you
Yeah.
know, and you don't want to be known for your character if you've changed it. That's now Demi Moore has a line. I wish it would have been mine because it's so true. And I have unfortunately been pigeonholed by people with this. When somebody decides who you are, you can never be anything else. So if somebody decides that you're a drug addict and that you're a waste and you're never going to be more than that, they will never see you as anything more than that. And
Right.
that's a horrible thing as well. I see you shaking your head, Jacqueline, because you've heard that shit before. I know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
How,
yeah.
how do you feel about that? That is such a powerful statement. And I think more people need to hear it because I think a lot of people are responsible for that.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely bothered me for a long time. I think that was part of it for me was I wanted to change people's minds about me. I wanted them to see what I felt inside, and like, trying to curate, this life. And, it goes on to, like, I think a lot of people can relate to, like, Instagram and just putting certain pictures, because you think you're, portraying this certain life. And, I wanted people to see I'm not that person anymore. And then when their opinion didn't change, it broke my not my spirit, but, like, it hurt. And I was like, I mean, truthfully, I could have used any excuse to just keep doing things that I shouldn't. But i I think it really helped. Now I don't feel that way. Like, I cannot change the way people feel about me. And I also respect that I lived really crappy for a long time. And so if they feel that way, they're probably justified, and I probably gave them good reason to feel the way that they do. And the only thing I can do is live the best that I can today and do the best I can. And those who, like, are close to me, I know they see it and I know they feel it. And those who don't, maybe they will one day. And if they don't, that's okay too. Like,
And you
because
have to also remember that, and I'm going to interrupt just because you
yeah,
also have to remember when there are people that are not willing to give you that chance to grow,
yeah,
there's something probably about them that has
yeah,
nothing to do with you. Like making you feel shitty makes them feel powerful.
better. Yeah,
And that's something that, you can't take on as your own. You have to be able to see it in them as, their fault and you see it when they have nothing nice to say about other people. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh
so,
yeah.
so you realize, well, you know, I could do math, and it's probably them. It's probably not these other people. But
Yeah.
you know, like I've told people when I was in the program, you know, and I say when I was in the program, when I was, you know, running programs, that yeah, okay, so you were a drug addict for 3 years, you'll be paying for that for 6. Like, don't
Mhm.
expect people to just trust
Overnight.
you with
Yeah.
their keys to the car and trust you with their wallet. The same people that you were stealing money from yesterday, even though your intent is good today, they're still going to sleep with their purse under their pillow. You know,
Yeah.
it just takes it takes time, and there's a lot of people that want to do things again. It's with addictive behavior, they want to do things on their own time frame, and that's just not the way the world works, period, anyway,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh yeah, I mean, and especially like, I know my mom's the only one that's really still with me that's been there through some, all of it, but because she's seen me do well for periods of time and then fall back, like I don't know that she'll ever totally feel safe, or
Well,
feel
that's
like it's
definitely
over,
No,
you know what I
she,
mean? It
she
it
might let
may.
her guard down occasionally, but she'll never really truly feel 100%
Yeah.
safe.
Yeah, because she always, will say, even now, you just can't go back, Jack. You cannot go back to that life. We cannot go through that again. We cannot go through that again, and I can understand and appreciate that now because even I feel that way now,
right.
like I don't ever feel safe now either fully because I used to like, this is it, I've got it, and then because of messing up, I learned well, I never have it, like I'm never like that part. There was that one saying, it was like an Indian saying where it's like, there's always a war within myself. Paraphrasing this, but there's always a war within myself, the dark versus the light. And the kid asked, well, which one wins? And he goes, whichever one I let in the most, or I let out the most. And it's like, I have to keep that in check because if I feel, or whichever one I feed, that was what it was, whichever one I feed. And that's the truth. Like I have to keep giving to the light and being positive because if I even for a second let those thoughts in, it can lead me right back where I was. I know life has shown me like I am very capable of going right back where I was and each time worse. So I know if I even try for a second, like,
You can't
anything.
fool yourself. Yeah, you can't
Yeah, I
fool.
don't ever say like I don't ever tell you like, oh, I'll never do that again. I just don't say those things anymore because like God willing, I won't, like but I take it day by day. I don't ever look, into eternity and say
Right.
what will be or what won't be. I just know I'm gonna fight with everything I have to keep this life that I have because I finally have a life that I recognize especially after everything I've been through, is so precious that I will do anything to try to maintain it and to protect it. I don't post personal things online anymore. I don't because I don't want like I don't know if I was trying to impress people before or like definitely not make them jealous, but I had so many bad people around me that they would, get jealous and then like that negative energy almost, wishing it against. I just don't like to even I don't post anything anymore. Like I really try to just keep it to myself because I want to protect that. It's precious to me. I cherish it in my life. I cherish my family and I want to do everything I can to protect them and protect my sobriety. And I know if I even take one drink that could be it, so I'm just not going to do it. To me, it's not worth it. And God willing, that's how it'll stay. But yeah, as far as making anyone believe it, I know that that's not possible because how can I prove it to them, other than just keep doing the right thing
That's
and,
it. That's
you
it. And
know,
they have to find it within themselves to trust. And you know,
yeah,
these are the same people, just so we're real here. These sometimes are the same people that have forgiven partners for cheating over and
yeah,
over and over again, and forgiven thieves for taking from them. These are the
yeah,
same people. that, you know, can forgive that, but for some reason won't forgive somebody who's struggling with an addiction, a disease. And that's when you have to realize, you have to check and make, because it's easy to take that on and say, oh, I deserve that, I deserve that. But if you see somebody who's finding forgiveness with others and just not able to find it in you, you really have to check and not take that on your own. You know what I mean? You just got to be held accountable for your own things and not for future things. You know, who knows where we're going to be in the future, right? You just are held accountable and live your life for how you're living it now, how you're making your days now, and how that's piling up, and looking back on that and showing, look, you know. And if somebody doesn't want to see that, you're doing it for you anyway. You're not doing it for them.
Right, exactly. And I can't let it get me discouraged. You know, I used to get so discouraged by it, but I don't. It just doesn't. You know, it just, so many things are more in perspective now. You know, and I think that comes with age, anyways, and life experience. But I mean, really going through all that I did for so long, I just didn't have. Like just being humbled in general, like it just, other people's opinions of me just don't matter the way they used to. You know, like
Right.
I know what I've been through, I know who I am, and I know that where my heart is, and as long as my heart's good. And I had to forgive a lot of people that, you know, it was hard. It was really hard, but I think that was really important too, is having that forgiveness, because that saying I love, uh what is it, bitterness or resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. You know, like it
Right.
just kept me sick, being so mad at people. So forgiving them and saying, look, they, just like I made so many mistakes that I wish I hadn't, so did they. You know, like we're all reacting to situations, and sometimes we don't react the best, and I still struggle with, you know, some things, but I have to constantly forgive, and sometimes daily on things from the past that, you know. And the longer I'm sober, the, you know, and working with a sponsor, when you're doing your moral inventory and you're thinking of all these things, like the more I actually started realizing that I was the villain in my own story most of the time, like really helped too, because for so long I blamed everyone else for everything that
Sure.
I did, you know, or how they reacted to what I did, or, you know, how things ended up. And so that's a really helpful part of taking a good, honest look at what was my part in this? You know, what part did I play in this situation? Was there something that I could have done differently, you know? And that I think was really helpful for me too.
Right. Well, this was fascinating. This was really fascinating. I got a lot out of this. Rebecca, where are you at with this?
No, I'm just really happy that you came on and shared your story.
Thank you for having me.
You know, you gave a lot of people hope, probably. I'm certain of that.
A lot of relatability as well in the
Yes.
comments here. A lot of relatability in the comments here.
Yeah.
Fascinating. I am going to hit you up, Jacqueline, because I do want you to participate in that other video, if that's all right with you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Be great.
And yeah, people are, what a great conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you so much. I was nervous because I just don't want to drone on the bad so much that I forget to like just stay focused on the positive, that, you know, when people need hope, like there is so much hope, it can be done. Like, but I also, like, you know, I don't want anybody to think like if I could get, like, I truly believe anyone can, because I mean, really, I've hit some really low points, and it is possible.
And
Thank
at
you,
some
Lori.
point, I'm sure at some point you thought you'd never be sober, and you probably at some
No.
point never wanted to be sober.
Yeah.
You know, so both of
Oh,
those
yeah.
things, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that you can rebuild a relationship with your daughters.
Yeah.
And I definitely think your son is very fortunate, very, very fortunate. And I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. And I think that
Thank
your
you, me too.
story, I think your story definitely is something that a lot of people can relate to, and definitely use it as motivation because it is a very motivating story. 100% motivating
Thank
story.
you so much.
So does anybody have any questions? Because we're getting ready to call it a morning. Somebody's saying you haven't seen my nose. Thank you for talking to us. You gave us hope.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for partaking in this madness.
Toddie, I just want to mention a couple people in here in the group here were saying how they don't want to go on and they're losing hope and tired of feeling the way they feel. And I mean, we can only talk to them here. I don't know if you have any words of wisdom or advice, but my advice would be reach out to someone.
988 is a national helpline. Somebody just put it there.
Yeah.
988 is a national helpline. And because nobody's going to knock on your door and ask if you need help, please.
No. And I mean, we're here on Mondays. We're here for you. I mean, that's why we do it. So if that's all you have to look forward to is Monday, then that's okay. Because that's what I have to look forward to right now. And it keeps me going all week. So, you know, we'd appreciate you guys coming back every Monday. You know,
absolutely.
We care. So just keep that in mind.
And if I could just say, just hang on. You know, there were so many times that I thought I was in a hole so deep that I could not get out of it, that it could never get better, that I could never, that I would never change, that it would always be the way it was. And I think back all the time now, what I would have missed had I have not kept trying or just been here, you know, like you just just hang on for dear life, quite literally, because it really can get better. I swear. There were so many times where I did try, you know, like not only did I not care if it did, you know, if I didn't wake up, like I would try. And like, I am so grateful now because the life I have, I never thought would be possible for me ever. And so I would just beg and plead with everyone who is struggling right now, just hang on, talk to someone, call somebody, go to a meeting. There's someone that will give you a hug. And it seems like that may not help, but it does. That human connection. We get sometimes so isolated in our feelings and in the darkness that we don't realize like there are so many people who care. Like just taking a walk in the sunshine for a minute really does help. Getting away, don't doom scroll, you know. I mean, we could focus on the bad, but there's so much good still. And I know it's hard to see sometimes, but just like hang on. Like if you go to a meeting, I promise you someone there will give you a hug, you know, like probably more than one. And yeah, and exactly like Kathleen, get phone numbers. Yes, they want to help, you know, anyone there. We love getting phone calls when someone actually picks up the phone. And I know it seems so heavy sometimes. Like I had a really hard time calling people initially, but it really, really, really does help. And everyone wants to answer those calls. I thought maybe I was bothering them. No, like I know I appreciate them when I get them. You know, we want to hear from you. We want to help any way we can. And if we can just even talk to you, go get a coffee, you know, so many people care. They've been there. So yeah, human connection is so important in our current world. I think we get really disconnected through the internet and like just uniting. And like I said, I didn't realize how much I really just need a hug sometimes, you know, and it sounds silly, but it really, really, really does help. And just talking to someone.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
All right.
Hang on.
That's it. Hang on, because the scenery is always going to change, guys.
Yes.
Always going to change.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Jacqueline and I will be reaching out to you. Rebecca, stay on with me, all right?
Yes. Thank you, Jacqueline.
Thank you, Rebecca. Have a good day, everyone.
Okay, thank you so much, Jacqueline. Guys, we're going to end the stream. I'm going to say thank you, Trixie. Thank you for that. And we'll end the stream, and we're going to leave Trixie's up here. All right, guys? Have a good week, guys, and we'll see you next Monday. Anybody that wants to share their story, this is the way you do it. Please reach out to me at toddie1skip@gmail.com. and I'm happy to have you share your story. You don't have to show your face if you don't want to. That's up to you. The story just has to be real. All right, guys, be good. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.